Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. This program is produced by Dove Creek, Colorado by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network for DCTV. And that comes with support from the Southwest Colorado TV Translator Association.
This is your community TV station. If you would like to suggest a story or let us know about an event to share, give us a call. The studio number is 970-677-4119.
Today's show runs Wednesday at noon and is uploaded to our YouTube channel and our DCTV News at Book Facebook page to watch on demand. Today is September 18th, 2019. And now on with the News at Noon.
From the Cortez Journal, the Supreme Court is allowing nationwide enforcement of a new Trump administration rule that prevents most Central American migrants from seeking asylum in the United States. The justice's order late Wednesday temporarily undoes a lower court ruling that had blocked the new asylum policy in some states along the southern border. The policy is meant to deny asylum to anyone who passes through another country on their way to the U.S. without seeking protection there. Most people crossing the southern border are Central Americans fleeing violence and poverty. They are largely ineligible under the new rule, as are asylum seekers from Africa, Asia, and South America who arrive regularly at the southern border. The shift reverses decades of U.S. policy. The administration has said that it wants to close the gap between an initial asylum screening that most people pass and a final decision on asylum that most people do not win.
There's some new news for the town for our local newspaper, the Dove Creek Press. Kat Kiesling, owner and editor, announced the changes in a letter from the editor released in this week's paper. She wrote, "This week marks the first week of our new size and format offered by our new printing arrangement with the good folks at the Montrose Press. We have other great changes that will be coming, but this first one was critical. Many of you already know, but for those who do not, our newspaper was given notice by Utah Media Group, formerly Media One, of discontinuation of their newspaper printing services. Our newspaper was not alone, as many other publications throughout Utah and in the Four Corners area were included. What this means for you, there are some small changes that must be made to adjust to a new printer, but they aren't impossible, and I believe we found that this forced change will eventually make things even better. One change is, of course, the size. We are switching back from a broadsheet to a smaller tabloid format, as many may remember from just a few years ago. Personally, I like this smaller size better, but I'm happy to hear your comments on that. Did you know that the large broadsheet was first introduced in 1772 as a response to the British imposing a tax based on the number of pages in a newspaper? It's an odd fact, but that was kind of a funny one for me, she said, while going through the stress of the size question. During our, quote, printer shopping process, many have asked with concern if a smaller size paper would bring a smaller font. I want to let you know that we plan on keeping our font size just the way it is. After this first one, you will likely see a thicker paper due to the size change, but the font will remain the same. We also had concern over color because we all love our color. That part will also remain. The Dove Creek Press will be mailed on Thursday. Dove Creek Post Office residents are used to having their paper in the mailboxes and on the newsstands a day early, but we had to change back. Thursdays are the day you want to be checking your mailbox for the paper. Regarding a deadline, this one is tough. Our deadline has to be now Fridays at 5 p.m. for production schedule. We hope most people will try to abide that deadline as well as they can. However, you all know that I do my very best to get things in, and desperate calls for late insertions will always be heard, but my upload time and date shifted back a whole day. This new deadline is something that needs work. We are working at the press on a solution that allows an option for late insertions by doing a section in-house, but we are not quite 100% ready to roll that out in full color. The fact is that we do not know what we do not know, so we need some time. Next week, we will have a full late page insertion as a test for size and placement, but not color. We really want your feedback here, as setting up these changes is most of the battle. This may be an overshare, but I am so excited about this that I can't help but talk about it with everyone who comes through the door, Kat said. Between this and our new photo booth, I can barely stop smiling or talking. That is, except while in production. Then I furrow my brows and talk to myself a lot, she says. I'm not stopping the paper and always have a door open to talk about it for anyone concerned. I take it as a great privilege to be able to continue the paper, and I have huge shoes I will never be able to fill. If it ever gets to the point that I want to stop, you will know. If anyone has any questions, give me a call or stop by to see me. Even if you and I have not met, I would welcome a conversation and input. So happily, the local newspaper will continue to be provided on a weekly basis. Be sure to support our local newspaper. It's a precious part of our community that we should not take for granted. Thanks, Kathleen, for taking on such a huge task and continuing to be dedicated to keeping it local. The DC Press Building is just south of the courthouse on the corner of Main and 4th at 321 North Main Street in Dove Creek, and you can call her at 677-2214.
Reported by the Durango Herald, scientists are reporting the first use of the gene editing tool CRISPR to try to cure a patient's HIV infection by providing blood cells that were altered to resist the AIDS virus. The gene editing tool has long been used in research labs, and a Chinese scientist was scorned last year when he revealed he used it on embryos that led to the birth of twin girls. Editing embryos is considered too risky, partly because the DNA changes can pass to future generations. Wednesday's report in the New England Journal of Medicine by different Chinese researchers is the first published account of using CRISPR to treat a disease in an adult where the DNA changes are confined to that person. The attempt was successful in some ways, but fell short of being an HIV cure. Still, it shows that gene editing holds promise and seems precise and safe in this patient so far, said Dr. Carl June, a University of Pennsylvania genetics expert, who wrote a commentary in the journal. Chinese government grants paid for the research, which was done openly with advance notice on a scientific registry and standard informed consent procedures. Some of those steps were missing or questioned in last year's embryo work. Gene editing permanently alters DNA, the code of life. CRISPR is a relatively new tool scientists can use to cut DNA at a specific spot.
How does the weather get forecast in an area where there aren't actually radars at our level? Well, as reported in the Durango Herald with a file photo and graphic, once blind spots for weather radars, southwest Colorado and the Four Corners may soon show up on the map. The National Weather Service is proposing to lower the elevation of one of its radar systems in Grand Junction to better home in on a slice of southwest Colorado, eastern Utah, and farther into the Four Corners. It will be a big improvement, said Jeff Colton, a warning coordination meteorologist for the NWS. The Four Corners has long been known as a blind spot when it comes to weather forecasting and radar modeling, as major hubs in Albuquerque, Grand Junction, and Flagstaff, Arizona, take in data at a far higher elevation than where storms usually linger. In Grand Junction, for instance, the radar system on Grand Mesa can't pick up storms that come into the Four Corners at elevations below 28,000 feet, which causes weather forecasters to miss a good number of incoming storms. Lowering one of its radar beams would help catch many of those areas, Colton said. If ultimately approved, he said forecasting in Cortez, eastern Utah, and down into the Four Corners will, quote, vastly improve. And he said the proposal doesn't require any additional equipment and changes. It's a simple software tweak to the system that was installed in 1995. Quote, the forecasters are pretty excited about it, and to be able to see areas we haven't seen since the radar was installed, Colton said. He said it could take 1 to 2 years before the project is completely implemented. The tweak, however, will not alleviate issues with La Plata County and Durango's blind spot issue. While areas around Silverton and Purgatory Resort may get better coverage, Colton said the mountains around Durango still block radar from outside areas. But big changes are on the way there. Earlier this year, it was announced a permanent weather radar system for the Durango area and beyond received funding, thanks to a $1.7 million grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. Local officials say the need for a radar system in the region became critical after the 416 fire last summer created significant flood danger when storms hit the fire's burn scar north of Durango in an area not picked up by radar. Megan Graham, La Plata County spokeswoman, said a preferred area has been identified and negotiations are ongoing with the landowner. She said there's no timeline for construction. Time will tell if that'll help for our own local weather forecasting.
From the Cortez Journal, Southwest Colorado's power supplier, Tri-State Generation and Transmission, a utility widely criticized for its coal-powered electricity generation, plans to join a new market that is expected to support the development of more renewable energy. The new real-time energy market, Western Energy Imbalance Service, will launch in 2021 and allow electricity to be dispatched to all the participating utilities every 5 minutes. It enhances reliability, provides the lowest cost options, and allows for the effective integration of wind and solar resources which are intermittent, said Lee Bowie, spokesman for Tri-State. Tri-State is owned and governed by 43 electrical cooperatives, including La Plata Electric Association. The energy within the market will be dispatched through an automated system that will send the cheapest energy first, said Jennifer Gardner, senior staff attorney with Western Resource Advocates. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Today's weather should be a nice sunny day with a high near 74 degrees, though a bit windy in the afternoon. South-southwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour with gusts to high of 30 miles an hour. And then tonight the winds continue, mostly clear skies with a low around 52 degrees, and those south-southeast winds stay around 5 to 15 miles an hour with gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Then into Thursday, we're looking to potentially see isolated showers and thunderstorms after 11 a.m., sunny otherwise, with a high near 72, and still breezy with a south wind 5 to 10 miles an hour, increasing to 15 to 20 miles an hour in the afternoon, again with the winds gusting as high as 35 miles an hour. And Thursday chance of precipitation is fairly low at just 20%. Into Thursday night, it increases the percentage chance up to 30% for showers and thunderstorms before 9 p.m. Then a chance of showers again between 9 p.m. and midnight, partly cloudy with a low around 49, and still breezy with a south wind 10 to 20 miles an hour with gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. Friday sunny with our first high down into the 60s, near 69 degrees, and we will still have those breezes to contend with, a south wind of 10 to 20 miles an hour with gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. Friday night mostly clear with a low around 41, and a beautiful weekend is set up with Saturday sunny and a high near 68, Saturday night clear with a low around 41, Sunday sunny with a high near 73, Sunday night partly cloudy with a low around 45, and into next work week, Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 70, Monday night mostly cloudy with a low around 43. And now back to the news.
From the Cortez Journal, a new system for processing food benefits, financial aid, and medical assistance for Colorado residents will eventually provide faster and more reliable care once the kinks are worked out, state officials say. Last week, it was reported that glitches in new software rolled out by the state in August were causing delays for some La Plata County residents who receive aid through the county's Department of Human Services. Benefits will be arriving weeks and even months late. Brandy Simmons, a spokeswoman with the Governor's Office of Information Technology, wrote in an email that the system has been processing cases since August 27th, albeit with some system slowness and errors that have impacted workload and the ability to process cases in varying degrees. But Simmons said Colorado staffers are working around the clock to resolve issues as they arise.
Reported in the D.C. press this week, Photo Living Word Ministry. Last week, after press time, an announcement was made that the Dolores County Sheriff's Office was hosting a concealed carry weapon, a CCW class, for Saturday, October 12, 2019, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Public Service Center here in Dove Creek. Since the D.C. press received word after press time, the announcement was made online and through their social media accounts. The class was limited to the first 30 people over the age of 21 who pre-registered. Bad news is that the class filled up very quickly. The good news is that the Dolores County Sheriff's Office is taking names for a future class. The date is unknown at this time, but here is what we do know. The class will be put on by Tyson Cox from Lucky Irish Tactical. The cost of the class is sponsored by the Dolores County Sheriff's Office and includes a classroom session and range time. The class does not include concealed carry permit fees. Those are a responsibility of the attendee. All attendees must supply 20 rounds of ammunition and their choice of handgun. Please call Dolores County Sheriff's Office Dispatch to express interest and get your name on their waiting list. The non-emergency line for the Dolores County Sheriff's Office is 970-677-2257.
From the Durango Herald, the nation's worst measles epidemic in 27 years could be in its final stages as a week went by with no new reported cases. To get to zero is tremendously encouraging, said Jason Schwartz, a Yale University expert on vaccination policy. The current epidemic emerged about a year ago and took off earlier this year, with most of the cases reported in Orthodox Jewish communities and in and around New York City. It started with travelers who had become infected overseas, but spread quickly among unvaccinated people. In the spring, 70 or more new cases were being reported every week. Not long ago, the nation that saw that many measles cases in a whole year. So far this year, 1,241 cases have been confirmed, a number that didn't rise last week, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported Monday. The last time the CDC reported no new measles cases was 11 months ago. New York officials responded to the explosion of measles cases with a wave of measures, including education campaigns to counter misinformation about vaccine safety and fines for people who didn't get vaccinated.
Reported by the Durango Herald with a file photo. The American Farm Bureau Federation is marking its 100th anniversary this year, with a celebration coming this week to La Plata County. Charlie Minkler, president of the La Plata County Farm Bureau, said the National and Colorado Farm Bureaus were founded in 1919. He wasn't sure the exact date the La Plata County branch began, but he said it was probably around that time. He said, quote, agriculture was very prominent and important during that time. The Farm Bureau is comprised of local community members who typically gather on the county level to talk about policies that affect agriculture. Those policies are often brought to the state or federal level. Quote, it's very much an organization where all the members are involved, Minkler said. It's ground up, not top down. The Farm Bureau tracks all kinds of policies and issues. Some deal with the direct production of agriculture, such as drafting transportation regulations during harvest. But others can center on lifestyle issues, such as bringing broadband to rural areas or addressing opioid abuse. Envisioning the next 100 years for the Farm Bureau, Minkler said one of the biggest issues is that the average age of farmers and ranchers is approaching 60 years old, and it's increasingly difficult to find younger farmers to take their place. We're all concerned about who will be the next generation of people growing our food, he said. The La Plata County Farm Bureau will mark its 100-year anniversary at 6 p.m. Friday at Skyute Casino with its annual meeting and dinner. Speaking at the event is Colorado's new Department of Agriculture Director and Durango resident, Kate Greenberg, who, at age 31 years old, has made addressing the issue of a lack of young farmers one of her highest priorities. Minkler said agriculture sometimes isn't recognized for how important it is in Colorado. For starters, he said, it's the #2 industry in the state. And he said most of Colorado's beautiful views can be attributed to farm or ranch land. The La Plata County Farm Bureau's event theme is Boots and Blossoms. Tickets are available at Basin Co-op or the Farm Bureau Insurance Office at 2007 Main Avenue, Unit B, and cost $18 for adults and $12 for children. There will also be a premiere of the film Perspectives on Agriculture, produced by Will Witt, a national media personality. Witt is expected to be in attendance, and if we get permission, we may be able to play it here on DCTV after the conference finishes.
According to the Cortez Journal, new solar panels on top of the Liberty School in Durango will give students a chance to learn about green energy and cut the school's electricity costs and carbon footprint. More residents, businesses, and other entities might also have the opportunity to choose solar power thanks to new smart inverters that can reduce the voltage solar panel systems produce, said Ron Meyer, La Plata Electric Association's manager of engineering and member services. In the past, LPEA has had to deny some residents rooftop solar approval because the systems could send too much voltage into the electrical grid. But smart inverters can throttle down the voltage a solar panel system produces, he said. This summer, LPEA revised the interconnection standards to account for the new inverters, which will allow more rooftop solar installations to connect to the grid, Myers said. Each rooftop project helps the state and LPEA meet ambitious goals to cut carbon. Governor Jared Polis wants Colorado to transition to 100% renewable energy by 2040, and LPEA aims to cut its carbon footprint by 50% by 2030.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. Friday, September 19th, live music with Herb and Friends will run from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Fence Line Cider in Mancos, and we love that music. September 20th, I Am Music presents a fashion show at Lively, that's in Durango. It's a unique evening of fashion music and dance featuring local models showcasing Lively's fall fashion line. There'll be dance and the musical stylings of Alex Blocker, Make Beats, and Hello Dollface. Proceeds directly benefit I Am Music, which is a 501c3 nonprofit cultivating conscious creativity, community, and personal empowerment through music. September 21st, Farmington Hill will be at the Dolores River Brewery in Dolores starting at 8 p.m. for music. And I post up all of these High Canyon Country happenings on our Facebook page, which is DCTV News at Noon. So you can look up phone numbers and dates, and we also upload the daily news to our YouTube channel, which you can search for with the same name, DCTV News at Noon. And the broadcast is also posted to the general Facebook page, where we add links to stories of interest, share other events or news, and where you can join in on the conversation too. This is your local community TV station, so if you have something you'd like to share, please contact us by email dcbnnews@gmail.com or call us at the station. That's 970-677-4119, and we'll be happy to help.
Thanks for tuning in, whether it's for the broadcast, which airs here in Dolores County on channel 32.1 at noon, now Monday through Friday, or online on our YouTube channel or our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, where you can watch it on demand anytime you would like.
We'd love to have you interact with the news program, add comments, or share stories there or on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page. If you would, please like us there and share it with your friends and family.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon and the Dove Creek News at Noon program, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.